Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Welcome to another episode of Inside the Firm. I am just Al Regular Gore. I'm here with Lance. Flight delay, Cayko, stuck up in Fargo, finally back. Took you 2 days to get back. That's what happens. Fargo is not that big of an airport, so you got to wait a couple days.
Not only that, it's not that big of an airport, so your options are limited. Not only that, but then there was a squall. Did you know that? Down here at the Denver airport in the same day. So I probably actually would have got out if it wasn't a double whammy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went into CU to teach. When I got out, which is like an hour and a half later, the storm came, dumped like 4 inches, and passed. So it was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also weird, just a side note, but we do that on this firm is, okay, your flight gets canceled. How don't the airlines have their own like AI system and be like, okay, now we need to take a plane and we need to send it up there that day because we know there's 200 people waiting and they'll just rebook. Like they just stick with their same schedule. I don't know. Planes can move. Okay, they can.
Yep.
Do that.
Al's going to be eating the mic today. He's going to continue to eat the mic. We're just going to constantly be eating the mic because we're getting feedback from listeners of the show's wives.
Oh man,
They're upset.
They're like that. Al
And
Gore
what I guess what I had to
mic.
remind the listener was, I go, this is a free show. This is a free show.
Know what though? They're listening. They're listening.
And well, not only that. Not only is it a free show, but here's what you do, okay? Set the volume and keep it there. That's it. Like, there's no turning up, there's no turning down. You just, boom, boom. Keep your volume to a level. And here's the problem. Like, if you then turn it up because we're doing this,
because we go.
that's your fault when we go back like that. I'm sorry. This is pretty common. If I'm going to yell, I want to go away from the mic.
Also, isn't auto levels doing that? Isn't it keeping it in a range?
I even it out. I even the audio out every single time. I make sure there's no flashpoints. 600 episodes deep. But anyway, free show.
Anyways, I will eat the mic. I can take criticism gracefully.
Yep.
That's my middle name. Lance, that's not your middle name.
Nope.
We're here so we got a great show for you. We're going to talk about basically go back into HOK, talk about doubling your fees, and some other cool stuff. First, I'm going to start off with our friend, Kyle Rogler, and his middle name is Runza. He's our Runza man.
Good.
And he attended a housing marketing forecast for Kansas City a few weeks ago, and there were some interesting high-level numbers in that meeting. So basically, the medium house price, this is southeast Kansas City, so maybe it's more the upper suburbs, $715,000. That when I think of Kansas, I think of North Dakota.
Kyle runs. I know. Kansas, I think.
And that's a compliment because I like North Dakota. The inventory for the different housings go from about 5% to 4% to 5.5% to 3.5 months of inventory. But I thought the most interesting things were construction starts are down by 464 from last year.
Oh, we have got to solve this problem.
That's last year. Look at this. 1,193 total in 2024. Homes under construction dropped by, Lance, this is just in Kansas City, southeast Kansas City, 2,000 over the past 2 years. It was 3,000 that's 3,000 homes in 2024. Meaning, yes. I asked for clarification. Homes under construction dropped by 2,000 over the past 2 years. 3,000 homes in 2024. Does that mean in 2022 there was 5,000 homes?
Yeah.
Yes.
We just can't stay steady. And it's all because of the Fed. It is. It's all because of this money every time. We just make the money supply crazy, and then we make it not crazy. Whatever.
But and also too, I think everyone needs to understand this concept. Every level spectrum of the political spectrum from left to right, because here's what's happening. I know that a lot of right are NIMBY people and they got their house and they don't want anything else.
Left, though. Come on.
No, I know. I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Left is also, but also government and the left has these great intentions. We want to make things green. We want to make things affordable. We want to make sure we do things right. And all of these things are gumming up the systems, so it's not affordable, it's not green, and you're not making houses. Like, and that there's so much in every like industry throughout the whole government, waste, spending, abuse in the military industrial complex.
Yep.
And then think about all the way down to the city government when you have these great intentions and they literally just backfire on you because you can't make the housing. So you don't have competition. So housing pricing doesn't go down.
Yeah. I was walking around with one of my colleagues quite a bit in downtown Fargo, and downtown Fargo has improved for sure. Mm-hmm. But one of the astute observations she was making was, which is very obvious, maybe not to the layperson, but definitely to other architects and designers and all that. We walked around down there like multiple times. I mean, it was like during the day, in the morning, we'd go get some coffee, we'd go get lunch, we'd go get dinner. So it was multiple times throughout the day, and multiple times we observed, just kind of a deadness still. Still not bustling. Now it's dead of winter. That's part of it. But it's Fargo, so you better be used to it and that sort of thing. And I go, you got to put a ring. I go, I just like here's the truth about it is like, well, you got to put a ring around it then. So like here's like the automobile was invented, right? And we have a lot of land in America. It's not like Europe. We're not like Europe, right? But we like parts of Europe because we have these bustling, diverse city centers, cities in general, all that stuff. But we have an abundance of land. They have less land, right? In that way, okay. So how do you force the issue of the bustling center? Well, maybe you do what Portland did. Maybe you do then which then Boulder did, which then Longmont did, which then every city in Boulder County did. Put a ring around it. Oh, we're just going to buy up all the open space. We're going to not serve water, municipal water. We're not going to extend the services. There's a water ring. There's a growth ring. All these rings, and then it forces the density, right? In theory. And then, so what I'm getting at is like the reaction part of this. Oh, okay. So we're just like constantly reacting. Like, where's the progressive forward thinking? And I'm like that word, right? Like, oh my gosh, that word triggers me even. Like, but where is the progressive forward thinking? We just finished watching Zaha Hadid's movie on the Netflix. I think it's only 51 minutes long, or not Netflix, Amazon Prime. Everybody should watch it. She had a really good point. If she wouldn't have died early, her next evolution was going to be, she goes, there hasn't been any new kind of urban planning thoughts in the last 100 years. And she's absolutely right. Because I just finished last year rereading Jane Jacobs' The Life and Death of Great American Cities. We're reading Christopher Alexander's A Pattern Language now. And I was telling my colleague this. I was explaining where I'm at, just in re-understanding all of this and in refreshing myself. And she was like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, that why can't we do these things? And I think it's because we're constantly reacting, we're constantly chasing the ball, basically, right? So it's the same thing with like, okay, so then they go, all right, now we need density. Okay, then they're gonna try density. But then there's the NIMBYs, and then they're reacting to the NIMBYs, and we just keep doing this. If you made me theocratic king, I will just solve the problem. Okay, so what you need is a monarch who has their shit together. That's like it has to be forced down. I'm convinced it has to be forced down the throats of everybody, and that monarch has to be perfect. That's where I'm at.
Yep.
Sorry for the tangential, but that is where I'm at.
I think there's only. I have two thoughts. One, I don't think a ring will help Fargo just because I've been in Fargo, I've been in Rochester, I've been here, and then I've been down to Houston, I've been over to Seattle, and I am very pleasantly surprised when I'm in Houston and Seattle and we see all the runners, the joggers, and we're like, oh, this is great. Fargo has one big problem, and it's weather. And it's hard for people to not get in, hey, I'm going to get in my car and go from here to there and just get into that pattern. And that's a big thing. But going to, there's not new thought. I would agree with that, but I would agree that that basically engineering progresses make that thought reality. So for one example, remember the bird bikes or whatever, the bird little scooter things, whatever those things are? If cities would have had the thought and be like, okay, now we're going to make paths that cut through so everyone can use those, and people would be more out and about because it's easier to go 3 blocks in one of those than to park in a parking garage, get out, go find another parking garage. You know what I mean? And that's where I think that there almost needs to be a new form of transportation. There needs to be a new form of transportation, and that's the only thing that's going to actually change something.
Yeah. Okay, on to our next one. I've got an article here. Beautiful title to it. Architects are bad at business. Here's why and what we can do about it, by Evelyn Lee. Evelyn, you still owe me a response to my pressing question on LinkedIn, and I'm going to read her bio, and here's why it frustrates me she's not responding there. Evelyn Lee is a startup advisor in the tech space, angel investor, founder of Practice of Architecture, and host of the podcast Practice Disrupted. She's a startup advisor, right? And then she's writing these articles for, prominent places like Architizer. And my question to her was, she says, architects' margins are thin. And I go, okay, define thin. And she would not put a number on thin, right? Because what is it really, right? We just, last week, we brought up, I can't remember his name. I think it's Lucas something. His post on LinkedIn, and with the data that he brought up, and it was margins are a baseline, healthy, average, profitable percentage for an architecture business is 15%. Al and I, we debate maybe it's 13% down there. Good would be 20%. Great is 30%. You should be aiming for the 20 to 30%. Go to architectsguide2.com or Build a Better Business Co. to check that out, especially Build a Better Business, buildabetterbusiness.co. That's where you need to go.
Build a
Better Co. Is that what it is? .com.
You'll find it.
But back to where, so I that seems important. If I was a startup advisor, if I was a business coach, if I had a podcast, this one, right? I would know those kind of numbers. I would have the guts to say it out loud. Back to the article. Every architecture and design firm is a business first. It's easy to forget while celebrating our design awards and the stories of our contributions to the communities where we work, live, and play, but to pursue the work that brings us so much joy, it is, first and foremost, essential to have a profitable and agile business that continues to adapt to the changing nature of the economy. I agree. Architects aren't necessarily known for being good at business or even knowing or enjoying having conversations on business operations. We would rather spend our time talking about the projects, the impact, the design, the materials that went into them, and the changes we made within the project delivery process to make it so successful. But the phrase, architects are bad at business, has become a crutch, if not an excuse to continue the bad business and avoid the conversation altogether. So why are we this way? Al, why are we this way? Because I haven't went to...
The setup is all right.
Okay.
She's setting up right.
Architects are often more focused on the creative aspects of their work rather than business ones. That's one point. Architects are not trained in business practices. I want to focus in on this one and then touch on the next ones. Anyone who went through an accredited degree program could tell you that the 1-hour seminar on professional practice taught students more about avoiding lawsuits while practicing than it did about running a business effectively. And if that was the class... And if that class was more broadly focused, there's too much to learn in a single class to be effective. What's more, the ongoing education of individuals once in practice is often more focused on project work and does not extend beyond that.
Okay, can I react to that?
Yeah.
I think it's correct. I honestly don't think that we can do too much more in college.
Oh, good. That's the only reason I was reeling back here is because I was like, please don't disagree with me in the sense of that.
Oh, I don't even know your take on this.
The focus should be design, honestly. The focus is good where it's at. And my only critique with modern education in the architectural, as somebody who teaches, which is what we're doing up at North Dakota State, for example, is we gotta make sure we're making these folks Renaissance people, and we have to recognize and put some fences in place, like for instance with the photorealistic rendering. Wait till I show you what we produced in my studio. where it was like sepia tone kind of stuff.
Yep. I think once you start to have a business, we had mentors. And then we continue to talk to other people in the industry. I have a whole group. We read books.
We look outside the industry every Monday. As a matter of fact, I am interviewing somebody on this show called Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm, and I'm bringing in people that are not even related to architects.
So I think architects should just realize, because we do have a proclivity for design, and we love it, and it's great. But you can't do that well without running a business well. So once you're in the management role, the leadership role, start to get a group that can critique and help you, just like design. Just like you were taught design, just like you improve design, all the effort that you put in to make sure the details are right, the orientation is right, the partie matches, that it's authentic and true to itself, and that it is a beautiful project. Do that when you are leading a business. That's my whole message, is that you can take that same sort of passion and that same sort of back and forth with whoever if you're a principal, you have a lead architect, right? You have other principals you can bounce things off of. You put things out there for people to see, critique, and then improve. You can do that in a business, and you should do that when you're in that position, not, 20 years ago when you're in college. And the shameless plug is buildabetterco.com.
Yeah.
Like, there's other ones too. Look it up. I don't care.
Architect community. Go listen to the Bigness. Go listen to the Mark show. Go listen to Enoch show.
There you go.
Do that.
Find the
stuff.
one for you.
They're out there. It's not the AIA though. Just got to remind everybody that. Okay. Third one, architects are often reluctant to change. This one I kind of disagree with, which is weird, because like, isn't that the whole design process? I don't know.
I think stereotypically, as we get older, we get stuck in our ways.
Yeah. Across
any industry.
Architects are not good at selling their services. I would agree with that. Starts with the AIA. I was complaining to my colleague up in that I hang out with up there quite often. I was like, here's why I'm not in the AIA, because I explained the I think it was a Super Bowl commercial, the one where it's a civil engineering. Yeah, and she goes, "You're kidding." And I go, "I'll send it to you." She's like, "That's insane."
Yeah,
that's insane. I go, "That's what's happening."
Yep.
Architects don't like to ask for help. I'd agree with that one. Better communication and collaboration, streamlined So what can better business operations do for architecture and design firms? There are many benefits, including better communication, collaboration. I'd agree. Oh my gosh, especially with like it should be rapid communication and then collaboration and honesty. Streamlined processes. Go to RevitRocketShip.com. Automated tasks. You need to start. At the beginning of last year, we started looking into scripts and how we can automate things and make things more streamlined. You should be doing that. Do better use of technology. Again, RevitRocketShip.com. If you're not doing that, go there. Go get a laser scanner if you're doing remodels. That's pretty huge. A focus on continuous improvement. Maybe you need to read the 2-second lean. Mm-hmm. And follow Paul Akers' ideas. And then she goes on to say, in addition to the benefits above, better business operations can also help architecture and design firms to attract and retain top talent, increase customer satisfaction, improve profitability, expand into new markets.
Can I go back?
Yeah.
So, attract and retain new top talent. That's not just only, take from other architects. People know in high school that bankers make a bunch of money. What's the bad term that we have for banker? Banksters?
Yeah.
Banksters make a lot of money, right? Being in a tech firm makes a lot of money. And I remember having conversations in high school that one person wanted to be a teacher, but it doesn't make a lot of money. If we continue this, architects don't know business. Architects don't make a lot of money. Architects work very hard. We're not getting those very smart people. Those very smart people seem like, hey, I like design and drawing and all that, but I'm going to go be a bankster and work in that corrupt industry. Yeah. And I'll just draw on the weekends.
Yeah.
I'll just paint. I'll just draw on the weekends. So if we fix this, that's what it means. I know it's a long game, but hey, let's be long-term thinkers.
Aren't we supposed to be we love to think we're designing for 100+ years.
Yep.
Okay. Designing how are we not designing this, redesigning this, and tweaking this profession?
Yeah. What's the reputation, honestly, of our whole industry? Going back to the AIA, Lawyers have a reputation, which is, hey, they make a lot of money, but also they lie a lot, right? What's ours?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah. Yeah.
It's creative and fun, and you don't make a lot and you work a lot. That's what it is, right?
Exactly.
Change it.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. I've always been pretty critical because I just see how it works as a person who's developed, a person who builds, a person who's been in the industry for a long time with wearing multiple hats, not just architect. The attempt to try to modularize construction. It's a noble attempt.
Yes.
It is every time. I want it to happen too. And it's kind of like Al was saying about how do we drastically transform maybe the American cities. Transportation. Like I'm with you on the transportation. Maybe that if the transportation was easier, better, I don't know.
But the other thing too, which architects will hate, this will never work when the cities won't allow enough throughput to happen. Manufacturing only works at high throughput, i.e. cars, i.e. computers. It's crazy. We were just talking about it in the firm. Maybe you were gone in Fargo.
Probably was.
So this computer is probably $2,000, right? 3 truckloads of dirt is also $2,000. You know what I mean? And all it is, and we know the guys who drive that truck.
Yep.
We know the truck is expensive. We know where they get the dirt or where they take the dirt from. This computer, I don't even know how this is. I took this from one of our other employees, so I'm on a secondhand computer. It's probably 3-4 years old. I don't know. Works just fine, besides the camera going out.
Yep.
So if we're going to get to these cost savings, and that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at is you can make a computer for the same amount of shipping 3 truckloads. The city needs to be on board. And this is where architects won't like it. Well, then, if the city's going to be on board, then you're only approving like 1 to 2 types, right? Well, look at all the like dog houses, shotgun houses, the neighborhood that I grew up in, my first house, right? There's only like 4 housing types, and then the trees get different. You paint them different. Like we need to start thinking differently, and then somehow you have to get the government on board to not stop you for 6 months. Imagine if a Toyota shut down for like 2 months. It did in COVID. It was terrible.
Yeah. So the article is by Gary Fleischer. Recently, the construction industry has witnessed a significant shift towards modular construction, touted for its potential to streamline building processes, reduce waste, and cut down on construction time. However, these apparent advantages, a worrying trend has emerged. An increasing number of modular construction firms are failing. Wonder why they're failing. Here are some of the root causes of these failures, shedding light on the pitfalls and challenges that have led to the downfall of many promising companies in the sector. Number 1, they misjudge estimations and contractual pitfalls. Number 2, chasing volume over value. Number 3, low margin trap. That is a problem. 4, coordination breakdowns. And if you want me to go into any of these in depth. 5, MEP reworks, a symptom of misalignment, which is one of the big ideas that they're trying to, the problems they're trying to solve. There's Al. Here's Al coming up. Number 6, the regulatory hurdle. Delays in obtaining regulatory clearances have further compounded the woes of modular construction firms, introducing unpredictability into project timelines, contributing to financial and operational disruptions. If I was king, it's kind of like starting a business in this sense of like, okay, what would my solution be to the regulatory hurdle? I would be okay with causing big problems by wiping out a lot of the regulations, and for a while. It's kind of like when you're growing your business and you're biting off more than you can chew. Well, how else do you grow unless you take a risk like that, right?
Yeah. Okay. A lot of these, yes. Knowledge gap, MEP misalignment, all that, chasing volume over value. Here's the issue. We honestly need to boil it down to one big issue.
Okay.
When you can buy a car. I'm going to hopefully buy a truck today or Monday.
Please God, I'm sick of looking at this tiny little
I'm sick of getting in it. sick of getting in it.
Yeah. It's a good. Hey, we're gonna. I'm glad we didn't test testosterone levels.
Why? Because of my brain injury?
We're gonna test the testosterone levels after you get your new truck, just to be fair.
Right, my little car would have brought it down.
It lowered them. Yep.
Okay, anyone can go buy a car. You can drive it anywhere, right? At any time, ready to go. It goes on all roads, all places, all cities, all that. When these modular companies, a lot of times they have to wait for these big projects where it's like, okay, we're going to do 200 and some units, right? Obviously, we know that takes 3 years to get through a city. There's a huge anticipation. Now there's a whole bunch of work after that big project that all those units were approved to. It goes away. All of a sudden, did you overbuild? You have all this problem. If somehow it was like cars and it was, hey, these modules or whatever, this is how crazy it would have to be. Every developer, when you make a development, you have to open up your lots to the free market. So all these developments, I even look on GIS, there's so many neighborhoods going up, but it's only Lennar. It's, like you can only build those houses there. If it was, you can go and buy the fair market value plus their profit of that lot and just buy from a factory and have it put on there, you would be more like this car industry, and then you would actually have way more affordable housing. Problem people would say is like, oh, now you're going to get cookie cutter houses and things like that. What do you think exists? What do you think of Lennar? No offense, guys.
Yeah.
You think they...
No offense at all, honestly. Thank you for planting the seeds.
I was just looking at Kyle Rogler's website, blue.build.com.
Yeah.
His houses are awesome. Yeah. The layouts are great. They are very similar to some of those big builders. He does a lot more nuance and stuff like that. So I'm not attacking any of the big builders or anything like that. I'm just saying you're making a false argument if you say that, oh, we can't do it this other way.
Yep.
Right?
Some good news, just to touch on it. New home sales are up at the start of 2024. Very exciting. So sales of newly built single-family homes increased 1.5% last month. We're trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I swear, all we need is just one, again, what's her name? Janet.
Yelling. Sorry. That was a joke. That wasn't for your ear.
No, that was fantastic. See, he's good at jokes. Quarter point. Just give me a quarter point. Biden, keep pumping that oil. You're crushing. Appreciate you. It's like the 5th show in a row. Okay, but two last things I want to touch on.
Okay.
The title of this show is called How to Command Double the Fees. And here's how you do it. This is actually the shortest segment probably of the show, and that is, let's say you have a client. I want you to, business owners, architects, everybody who's doing the service-based stuff, or product, I guess it would work too. You should experiment at least a couple times with this. It's even if it's just a thought experiment and you see how the psychology works, I'm telling you it works, and then it works in another way, and then sometimes it doesn't work. And so let's say you have a client and you give them a proposal, and it's a good fee, and they go, I like the proposal. I hate the timeline. What can we do to adjust the timeline? And if they're super aggressive and you're getting that feel for them to the point where, like, let's say you said the timeline is 6 months, and they go, I need it done in a month, and you go, that's sort of them doing the Trump thing with the art of negotiation, asking for too much, and maybe you're hopefully going to meet in the middle. That's my idea. That's what my thought that maybe that's their whatever in the back of their head. Offer to cut the timeline in half and double your fees. And check with your consultants to see if they're okay with that. Often they will be. Okay? Then send them a new proposal and an adjusted timeline. Say, hey, we can do an expedited fee. They're either going to say yes to that. Believe it or not, I swear, it's happened to us multiple times now. Or they're going to say, just kidding, they're going to say no to that, and they're going to say, just kidding, I'm not in that big of a hurry. Let's go back to the original proposal. And you go, oh, great. Whatever, we're happy to serve in whatever capacity you want. Or they'll say no entirely. That's actually been the minority in my experience. So everybody, I want you to just try it one time in your professional career if you get the chance. It is worth, even if it's just entertaining. I'm serious.
Well,
and we just did it. We just did it on a project of ours. So
yeah, it makes complete sense psychologically because, hey, can you do this in half the time? Okay, yes. Here's the cost for that. And you're putting it back in their court.
Yep.
Do I want it?
Last thing, finish the HOK book. I just can't recommend it enough. Read it to your wife softly, okay, if you're listening to this, so you don't hurt her ears. and it'll all work out well for you.
I should. My wife will. She loves me,
Hacker.
but I don't know. I don't know if she will if I'm reading her book. She doesn't want to.
It's so good. It's so good. It's leading me to a meeting today, which is actually part of the talk today. So on page 46, we're moving ahead, and we're going to keep doing this until we finish it. I'm just going to summarize the bullet points for everybody. At the end of chapter 5, they have 5 points, so 5 more ways to design a world-class firm. Number 1, expand by buying other firms when you have the money and need instant credibility. I am headed to a meeting to talk to people about this today, because there are, no matter what firm you are, I guarantee there's a class or type of work that you don't have a portfolio for.
Can complement you.
Yes. So you got to think about, like, okay, if I buy that, if I get whatever X work, maybe I want to do spaceship houses.
Yes.
All right, spaceship houses. How can I complement that firm once I buy them, take over all that, and do it? Number 2, expand by growing project offices and branch offices. F9 Denver. Number 3, establish just a marketing office in a new city when you don't have the money. Number 4, remember that sometimes the best design solution comes from second chances or comes from an underling. I love that. How many times have you designed Bond Farm? And this next time is going to be just like...
It's looking good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Even
it's looking,
better.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Very neighborhoody. Very, like, you want to walk through it, live there.
Maybe I'll buy.
Yeah.
Number 5, work to win a high-profile commission early in your company's development for the good press and national reputation it can spark. 100%. You got to try to align with the media in that sort of way.
We'll have our Wednesday meeting one of these days.
It's going to happen. Yeah. That's all I got. Al, do you have anything? Should I take us out?
Take us
okay.
out.
If you like this episode, you're watching on YouTube, leave us a positive comment. If you're listening terrestrially, leave us a 5-star review, and also make sure, again, you take that volume, okay, put it at whatever, and then you just leave it there. And then when Al or me do this, and don't turn it up, because we're coming back, and you'll be great. See you next week.